Hey everyone, welcome to Media to Tabletop, a new show discussing bringing TV shows and movies and how we'd bring them to the tabletop for RPG games. Today I'm with Patrick. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Hey, I'm C. Patrick Nagel. I am a game master at Start Playing Games. I also am the host of a horror and humor actual play podcast. We call it more of an audio drama with dice called the Gothic Podcast. Now, having just finished our second season.
Right. And I am Matthew, often known as Oni Wolf across the internet. I am also a paid GM, and we're hoping this show adds to your own games. So, to give a quick synopsis of what this is our first show. Me and Patrick have agreed upon a number of media properties that we both know. I am literally going to use a dice roller. We're going to pull it from there, and we're going to discuss how we're going to put this into an RPG from our list here. So, with that said, let's get started.
Throw some dice.
So, today we are doing The Witcher.
Aha. Okay. Isn't there a Witcher RPG?
There is a Witcher RPG. It's not a system I know, unfortunately. Do you?
I don't know.
All
So I
right.
guess, since those aren't systems we know, we're going to, and I can't afford to buy any more game systems than what I already have.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're going to have to figure out what game system we're going to use to play some Witcher.
Yeah, so how this is going to work, we're going to do a quick description for the audience. The Witcher, it basically follows around beings who have been magically altered to fight monsters. In the TV show, it drags in wizards and other supernatural forces. The video game, I'm a little more fuzzy on, but I've been told it's a lot more research, investigating the monster's weaknesses, and coming up with the chemicals or rituals you need to expose those weaknesses before fighting them. Sound about
and
right,
trying to
Patrick?
get your and trying to get your horse off the top of your neighbor's house, apparently, because of a well-known glitch that the game has.
All right. So with that, what we're each going to do is pick a system we would use and then discuss why. Patrick, any idea what system you would try and tackle this with what you have available?
Well, you're the host of this show. I shouldn't go first. You should
Sure.
go first.
So, without having any experience with the Witcher RPG, I would probably grab the Chronicles of Darkness, which is a modern horror setting, but we're going to tinker with it a bit to make this fit. Uh, any thoughts on the system you're going to talk about today, Patrick?
Yeah, I specialize in powered by the apocalypse games right now these days, and other rules light, and I'll put that in quotation marks because they're not rules light really. It's just rules light in terms of something really crunchy like um, Zweihander or D&D or something like that. But that said, so I'm having a couple of thoughts on what could be used for The Witcher. Um, I mean, monster hunters, that kind of thing with some magic. And the PBTA games, I mean, the one that immediately comes to my mind is Monster of the Week. But I did also just mention Zweihander. So I Zweihander is a grim and perilous RPG, very old school D&D like, but a percentile system. So I don't know. I could go either way depending on, um, kind of how dark we wanted to go, I suppose.
Fair enough. All right, well, like I said, I'm going to use Chronicles of Darkness to summarize this. I'm using that because it's already a horror setting. Even though it's modern day, it does focus very much on the individuals. And with a few mods, which we're going to discuss in a few minutes, it'd be very easy to adapt it to a more medieval or Dark Ages fantasy setting.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with. Finally, I think I'm going to go with Monster of the Week. It's a little lighter in tone, but I mean that's something that can be adjusted in gameplay too. Zweihander Part of Zweihander's allure is actually that you, randomly roll up your characters, and that they are very when they start off, they're very much likely to, die. Now, this isn't to say that if you tweaked it a bit, pick your archetypes and such that you want to use, that you couldn't design something where you're essentially a Witcher character. But I think Monster of the Week may be the better um, option.
Okay. So while Patrick figures out how Monster of the Week is going to be adapted to this setting, what I've thought of for the Chronicles of Darkness is most of them represent just taking the base book, you have your mortals. A lot of the merits can be adjusted. There's only two skills that are really attached to the modern day. That's computers, which in a more fancy setting we could replace with a skill called navigation, trying to find your way around the world, taking geography out of academics, and firearms, which we would probably replace with something like archery. It'd be a lot more common back then. Drive we would replace with ride, and a lot of the merits in that are pretty ambiguous going from modern day to fantasy, so there won't need a whole lot there. To represent The Witcher, we'd probably grab some supernatural merits, such as biokinesis to represent their ability to adjust their physical attributes to a certain degree, and maybe drawing on proxy. For those who know a great deal about the Chronicles of Darkness, proxy are a lesser supernatural template of mages, giving a representation to the magic users in the Witcher world. Learning spells rather than through arcana, if they would learn them through, say, merit points, like the proxy do, and bestowing a curse, very much like the one character who could not have children as the off balance. Uh, what other changes will we make? The monsters, there's a lot of dread NPCs and dread powers throughout the books in Chronicles of Darkness. That'd be very easy to build a lot of the monsters available. And I think that would cover a lot of it, giving the characters a lot of open buy and experience to build the individuals they want. Chronicles of Darkness handles ordinary mortals with just a touch of supernatural pretty well. It's a bit more crunchier system than BTA, depending on your preference. But those are the major changes I'd make right away. Uh, for things like alchemicals and research, there's investigation and clue system already built into the Chronicles of Darkness. I'd probably do some tweaking to make it more monster hunting related and the ability to find some of these items as we're going. Um, and with that, I think you could get a pretty good base system using the Chronicles of Darkness.
Mm.
Patrick, how are you making out in your mini research?
Well, having all of the rules memorized for every system ever, certainly don't have a book right in front. Oh, wait, let me put that down. um, so, yeah, I think there's some obvious ways to go with Monster of the Week. Monster of the Week uh, it was inspired by primarily supernatural, but with definite influences from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Grimm, um, some of those types of TV shows. But there's no reason why you can't, tweak the setting. These games are very hackable. And, so we've got actually some, interesting playbooks, that we could use for, say, The Witcher, and then playbooks are just the archetypes, the character classes for, a Monster of the Week game. Um, and I'm really thinking, here because of the mutant abilities of The Witcher. My initial inclination was maybe to go with a playbook called The Chosen, which is that Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of, um, "You have been chosen by the great powers that be in order to hunt these creatures." Um, but I'm not you get a special weapon, you get some, moves where you're able to handle, you can take a beating, a little bit more. But I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I think maybe the monstrous would be a good way to go with being the Witcher because the monstrous, although initially designed to be something like, well, you're a werewolf or you're a vampire or you're a ghost, one of those kind of things. But you work on the side of good in order to hunt down the bad monsters, that kind of thing. But some of the abilities that you can pick that I'm going to now look at from memory. Um, so you get to choose. Let's see, what do we got here? You've got to choose a curse. Um, so what kind of let's see, so The Witcher, what would you say The Witcher's curse is? What's his
I feel he almost has an enemy to anyone who's not supernatural. Anyone who isn't weird or strange in some way seems to automatically dislike him. They keep him around
hmm,
because, well, he kills monsters. No one seems to actually like him unless they're a cut above the average person.
yeah. Hmm. Well, so what we've got here for choices are feed. You must subsist on living humans in some way.
Mm.
So that's probably not going to do it. Um, Vulnerability. You suffer if you are around this substance, like silver for a
Mm-hmm.
werewolf, that kind of thing. Pure drive. One emotion rules you, and that one might be something that we could work with because the other
Mm-hmm.
one is Dark Master. You have an evil lord who doesn't know you change sides.
Yeah, I don't think the last one
So
works. That third one, though.
so,
Hmm.
yeah, it'd have to be pure drive, and so it's, we're getting a little bit away from it here, or we could maybe, design another one, for the character. They can be, done fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you also get natural attacks. I don't know. One of the
Does.
reasons I was thinking about this is because, your abilities in Monster of the Week in PBTA games in general are called often moves.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that you have that you can use in combat and stuff. And immortal is one of them, and that kind of certainly fits for the Witcher.
Hmm.
Um,
Is there moves beyond the basic moves? PBTA, I understand it, but I don't know
mhm.
Monster of the Week well. Is there a move for identifying monster weaknesses and such as a base move or a playbook?
Sure. So that's in the basic moves. You have what's called investigate a mystery is a move that you can do, and one of the questions that you can ask of your keeper, your GM,
Mm-hmm.
is what kind of creature is it, or what is it, and what can it do is another one, and what can hurt it. So you can you know acquire this information that way. Pretty much anybody can,
Okay.
and that's part of that could be a place where it digresses some too, because I mean it's the Witcher who figures out the weaknesses, not
Mm-hmm.
you know
The
John at the
crew.
bar.
Yeah. Um,
So
you might need some custom playbooks, maybe. To so beyond The Witcher and that, is there a way to handle the magicians in Monster of the Week?
oh, absolutely. You have the spell slinger,
Oh, okay.
who
That
is a
sounds
yeah.
exactly like it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's there. You've got the mundane, the regular people who do have moves and things that can help, but they also find themselves getting into trouble a lot because that gives them bonuses when they go get themselves into trouble.
There.
So,
Uh,
um,
is Monster of the Week a primarily modern day setting or is it setting agnostic?
it is primarily designed to be contemporary. Yes,
Okay.
the weapons that you get to choose for your playbook are things like revolvers and and such. But there's no real reason why that can't be, again, tweaked along the way. I mean, everything does basic amounts of harm. There's, you can look at a knife and a sword and, kind of get an idea for those levels of harm.
Would there
And everything
be
gets tags. So it's like
okay,
long or slow or things like that. So you can get a
okay.
sense for how the weapon works.
So there's no major mechanical changes that would be needed to shift it from modern day to fantasy-based time
No, in
settings.
fact, we have a game running now in one of my home games that is set in the Wild West, the Wild Weird West, where we
Okay,
are monster hunters who are, uh, you know, we're working for the railroad
makes
and
sense.
just coming across these things and having to deal with them along the way. And so we had to change certain aspects. If your playbook allows you to have a car of some sort, then well, maybe you know we had to give everybody a horse, because in the West, if you didn't have a horse, you're kind of
Not
out of
going
luck.
anywhere. Yeah.
But if you normally would get a car, then maybe you have a stagecoach or a nice wagon, or in the case of, one of the, playbooks, we went with a personal, train car
Mm-hmm.
like the, wealthy folk used to have.
All right.
So, you can, I mean, certainly if you're willing to do a little, not even a major amount of reskinning of it, they're very adaptable games.
Yeah,
And you're gonna find me probably going to these a lot during these sessions. I will try to pick
absolutely.
different ones,
No, if
but
it,
they are very adaptable.
the whole goal of this is for what would we use if someone came and asked us today and have it on the table by that night.
Oh,
So,
well, definitely then I have to choose if they want it on the table tonight, I have to choose, Monster of the Week, because that's the one I know, and I know it can convert over to it. If I
perfect.
had more time and, could really dig into um, the Zweihander, ugh, let me get my Zweihander book out here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's massive. It's a very big book. It's got, I just turned to nearly the end of the table of the, index in the end, and I turned immediately to page 666.
Nice.
But Zweihander is supposed to be a very deadly game. It's supposed to recreate that gritty medieval world, not the shinier Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy world of D and
Mm-hmm.
D, but rather a gritty. Everybody's got a cold. Uh,
Yeah.
a dip in the pool could kill you
Mm-hmm.
because it has chilled you to the bone. But there are
Fair enough.
professions in this that, if you're willing to forego the randomization of your character creation, which is again one of the big fun parts of
Mm-hmm.
Zweihander, then um, I'm pretty sure we could dig up something that would be a very good um, monster hunter.
Fair. If I had more time, like I said, this is if we need to get on the table quickly and I needed a second option, I'd probably grab the fourth edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which is also a very gritty, uh, somewhat randomized character creation as well. It sounds very much like this Zygander. Am I saying that right?
Zweihander, yeah.
Zweihander.
The two-handed sword, the Zweihander.
Nice. All right, but I think we've covered the topic pretty well. Um, Patrick, if you wanted to introduce yourself again or say your goodbyes.
Yeah, thanks for checking us out here. Certainly, if you have better ideas on what you would use for running these shows or movies or books or whatever, or in this case, The Witcher, then certainly drop it in our comments section. I don't know what other means of contact they'll have with us, but I know that the YouTube channel will have a definitely comment section. So drop
Yeah.
us a line and let us know. But yeah, I'm Patrick. If you need a GM for a horror one shot, come on over to Start Playing Games and look me up. You can find me by searching for Patrick and scroll down until you see Patrick. You'll see me right in front of this mic in a black and white. But also check out the Gothic podcast. We just finished our second season. The Halloween horror special just dropped on Twitch and will be coming out on YouTube and on our podcast this weekend. So
Yeah, and I've been Matthew. We're hoping to do a lot more of these. You can also find me at Start Playing Games. I don't think there's any .com. And yeah, if you guys have ideas for other shows you'd want to see or how you would do The Witcher, please leave it in the comments. Much like Patrick said, that's a fantastic idea. It's been great bringing this to you, and we're hoping to bring you more shows. But for now, we'll see you next time. Bye, all.
goodbye.